back again for another video. On today's topic, we will be discussing how to properly exchange things. And this is between men and women, of course. I think I want to describe this as prepaying. Who should prepay? And what types of people prepay? So I'll rephrase that topic. Today's topic is about prepaying. But anyways, so what does it mean to prepay? It means that, like, let's say I have a cell phone. Back in the days when we used to do prepay and there was no such thing as contract phones. I don't know if many of you remember this, but I sure do. And back in that day, you didn't get service until you paid for service. And that service was only good for the amount of time that you paid for, whether it be for a length of time or a certain amount of minutes that you had on your cell phone. So there used to be plans where you could pay for minutes, I guess you can say. That's what we call minutes. Airtime. I don't know what they would call it nowadays, but yeah, minutes. And these minutes would be actual minutes that you would use to talk on your phone. And there used to be even a text portion of it. As technology grew, of course, more people are using contract phones, and prepaid phones are things of the past. So I don't know, once again, if many of you remember this, but once again, you do not get service until you pay for it. What does this mean? This means that the company that charges you the money for the minutes gets a surety that they are going to get their money up front, and then you're going to get your service. What does this imply? This implies that the companies don't believe in you. This implies that the company does not believe in you, has no confidence in the general public, and it is more honorable because it is contracted under law to render services once funds are paid, meaning that they say that we're going to give you X amount of time for X amount of money. You don't second guess this. You don't be like, am I going to give you your money and then you're going to walk away with the services you said you were going to give me? No one says that about a cell phone company. Everybody expects that if they pay, they're going to get their services, right? And this is no different than the contract between men and women. When should you prepay and who should prepay? Well, you should prepay when you find a service or a woman or a man who that you believe can render the services. Now, I'm going to change that statement a little bit. I know I said find a woman or find a man, but let's just say that both men and women are rendering services, right? Who do you believe between the two will hold firm on their contract, right? Meaning that you give up some type of payment, and according to a contract service, and the service renders that payment, or renders those services rather. Who do you believe between male and female will be more likely to render those services? Let's explore this. So I commonly say on my channel that women lack a lot of honor. What does it mean to be honorable? Well, let's read it. Number 1 for honor: high respect, great esteem. Number 2, adherence to what is right or to a conventional standard of conduct. And then it goes on, regard with great respect. And then it goes on to number 2 of that, fulfill an obligation or keep an agreement, right? That is the solid definition of honor. But let's go down to the ladder of what I said. Keep an agreement, fulfilling an agreement, right? Who is more likely to have honor? Is it a woman or is it a man? Well, we have to look at the natures for this. So let's start with the male nature. The male nature is to oppose the environment. But why does female nature oppose the environment? Well, it's to protect, provide, and lead. That's what the opposition is for. It's to oppose everything that stands against its duty to the world, to its environment, to its offspring, to its mate. Meaning that if a man hears something at night while he sleeps, and his family is definitely in the house, he's more than likely going to be the first one to get up to address that. Why? Because that's what masculinity does. That's what a male's nature does. It protects, and it also provides safety, and it leads to safety. That's just one off branch of an example that I can say how those three things play out. There are many more that I can go down the thread of. But what is a female's nature? I've said it many times on my channel. A female's nature is to nurture. It is to be feminine. It is also to submit. It is passive. But in passivity, what does it mean to be passive? Let's look up the definition again on that. We don't have to dive real far on this one. Number one, it says, accepting or allowing what happens or what others do without active response or resistance, which simply means that she is the other side of the coin when it comes to the aggressiveness of masculinity. The aggressing of masculinity, meaning that they aggress the problem. They run towards it, not away from it, right? What does it mean to be passive in a social sense, though? Well, maybe not in a social sense. Let's go with more of a practical sense. If we go with the intruder again, if a woman is a passive entity and her nature is passivity, is she going to go see what that noise is? No, she's not. But here's the core root of women's ability to have plausible deniability, because their nature stems from passivity. This is the reason why they can pass off the whole entire thing that they need to accept in accountability onto something else. But why would a woman pass off accountability? Well, of course, we can say dysfunctions, but let's get more technical about it. This is my personal opinion. You can take it how you want. But my belief is that a woman passes on accountability because she's saving herself from, how can I put it, a uneasy time or something that is unbearable. Or maybe, how can I put it? What is a better term that I can go with? I'm always at a loss for words when I need them sometimes. Jeez. Let's see. She is avoiding negative consequences. That's the reason why she passed it off. And one who avoids negative consequences, what is the undertone meaning of that? It means that they would rather someone else suffer than themselves suffer, even if they are accountable for it. Now, let's go back to the beginning of this topic. We're discussing who should prepay and when should they prepay, right? And we brought up the cell phone companies of how they render services once you pay. But this is based on an honor system, meaning that they honor that you paid them and therefore they render services. Now, if we go to the natures of men and women, men, they are honorable behind what their duty is. Now, don't confuse that. There are some men out there who are not honorable men, and I would say that they are less of a man because of that, because they are not aggressing their duty, their responsibility. They're being passive about it. There's nothing passive about masculinity. So therefore, if a man is practicing passivity, then he is not practicing masculinity, because that's an opposition, right? That is the other side of the coin. He's focusing more like a female would on himself rather than bearing the consequences of what he's responsible behind, no matter if they're good or bad. But once again, we're talking about men here, so that's neither here nor there. But I wanted to make that very clear that I am not saying that all men practice honor. What I'm saying is that in order to be a man, you have to be honorable. So when I say man, this is what I mean. But anyways, on to the female. Would we say that the female would be the more honorable out of the two? No. The reason why is because she is very self-centered and she looks out for self in most cases. This is not to say that there is anything inherently bad about this. This is just to say that you can only trust them as far as you can throw them. And don't take that the wrong way. Oh, geez. I speak very firmly, but I don't want people to misinterpret that. What I mean by you can only trust them as far as you can throw them is that because a woman lacks honor, she's only as honorable as she is taught to be, meaning that the highest level of honor that she can practice is the honor that she learned. So that's as far as you can throw her. You can only throw her as far as you taught her to go. That's how I look at it anyways. But nonetheless, she is only as honorable as she is taught to be honorable. And unfortunately, for a lot of women, they don't learn honor. And I commend the women who have a male figure in their life or have a structure that puts the core values of man first and try to pass them on to women. Now, that's not to say that there is no core values that are from women that are not passed along as well, because men are taught to be kind. We are taught to be benevolent. We are taught to be, how can I put it, nurturing in a such a way. We are taught to treat our wives as we would treat ourselves. So therefore, we are taught some things of being soft on a woman. This does not mean just because you're masculine and you have honor that you get to run over women. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that the structure in which men learn the same things, these things get passed on to women. And therefore, there are also some things that are based in a woman's nature that are good for men, and we learn those things as well. It's a trade-off. But there are a lot of women who did not learn how to be honorable. So this brings me up to speed of the two, who should prepay, right? And what I mean by prepay is who should give what they have to offer first. Is it the more honorable person or is it the less honorable person? And remember, once again, this isn't me saying that someone is good or bad. I want to reiterate that. That's not what I'm saying. Honor is a virtue. It's not something that people label you as a horrible person if you don't have it. It's what you do behind not having honor that people label you as a horrible person. It's not necessarily, you can have no honor in this world, long as you don't come into any circumstances where you have to practice honorable. The question of your character will never come up. So there are instances where honor does not apply, but we are talking about prepaying. And what I mean by prepaying is that who should give up what they have to offer first. That's the topic of this. So that's neither here nor there, but I think that I have to make a lot of ad-libs about the things that I say just to bring clarification so that I am not seemingly pointing the arrow at someone. But anyways, what I mean by prepay, once again, are the services rendered, are what you have to offer. Now, I went down the section of who is more likely to be honorable. And fortunately, but unfortunately, it is men. And since it is men, this means that women are the ones that should prepay first because they lack the more honor. Well, let me rephrase that. They have the lesser honor, which means that they are more likely to back out for themselves, right? Because that's what women do. Women are very protective over themselves, as they should be. But at the same time, you cannot give them the responsibility of looking out for others when they put themselves first. That's simply what I'm saying here. Men will put themselves aside for others. We have seen this time and time again. I mean, there are plenty of stories, there are plenty of circumstances, and this is not to say that there are no women in this world who do not do this. It's just that they do not do this to the magnitude in which men do. So, another aside. But nonetheless, women should prepay first. Where am I going with this long video of explaining all these things to you? Well, this is a message to the men, of course. This is why you should charge women up front for what they have to offer in exchange for what you have to offer, because you're more honorable, more than likely, especially if you're a man. You're going to render the services upon receipt of funds, meaning that you're going to give her the protection, the guidance, the leadership when she submits. This is very important because not only does it set the tone, it also keeps you on the track of never being beguiled, which means never being taken as a fool. This is the difference between men and simps, because simps, they're the ones who prepay. They're the ones who say, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do etc. They are the pinnacle. They are the poster child, the meme for IOUs, right? We talk about this all the time, that these women feel very emboldened to demand things from men without giving up anything. Why? Because they've been conditioned by simps who do that anyways. So what sets us apart from the simps and the men? What sets the men apart from the simps is that we don't operate like that. We do things completely different. Now, there are times where me, myself, I apply different perspectives of the same thing that I'm explaining to you guys. But I'm a more skilled person, hence the name Wolf in Beta Clothes. The clothing denotes something, but the wolf also tells you the truth. So, while I am telling you to do a certain thing, this is what you as a man should do. Remember, I handle a different type of woman. So, if I were in your shoes and I was not the man that I am, and I did not specialize in the things that I specialize in, then if I was going for the average woman, I guess you can say, then what I am telling you is the best course of how you should conduct yourself when dealing with a woman. But I do things completely different, which I'll discuss maybe in another video. But this topic is about what you as a man should be doing, because these are the same things that I take my core tenet values from. I manipulate them based upon what the circumstances call for. Like I said, I deal with a different type of woman. But anyways, what I'm telling you here is that what separates the men from the simps is how we conduct ourselves, right? So that means that we cannot do and we should not do the same things that simps do. Because if we do, then we might as well be simps too, right? Especially if we do not have a plan ahead of what's going to happen for sure, of how this woman is going to repay things. Because women definitely, they'll take something and they'll walk away like it never happened. They get simps all the time. You know, they go out on these dinner dates, right? And, you know, a simp expects them to render some type of submission to them. And then the woman says, I don't owe you anything. My body, my choice. They got, right? You know? But maybe I'll teach you guys the version that I use for different tactics of how you can do things first, such as give a woman certain things and you can still, with guarantee, get what you want. But that'll be another topic, and it's going to be hard to explain. I almost need like a test subject or a test situation, which I'll come up with. I'll think of a story like I've always done, that denotes exactly what happened and how I accomplish what I'm explaining to you. But nonetheless, between men and women, Women are the ones who should prepay what they have to offer. And what they have to offer should be what you're looking for. If you're trying to get a woman to give you something who you don't understand what her product is, this is not the woman for you automatically, because you don't know what her product is, which means that you are not applying her to a purpose. You are choosing, you're not selecting. So be careful of how you approach these situations and be cognitive that she is the one that should prepay her services first, because you're the more honorable person as a man. You're going to render the services after you receive the funds being the submission, the services being the leadership, protection, and guidance, right? But anyways, like, comment, and share. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Patreon. I have a few new videos that I've uploaded. These are things that I have already produced, but they are on Facebook because they're more shareable. Once again, like I said, I will be creating that Instagram here in the near future, and there will be another platform in which I will upload my videos to that platform so that they become more shareable and more people can receive the truth. But until next time, this has been the Wolf in Beta Clothes. May you have a good day, and peace be with you.